My own flesh and blood's making me do quick tonight. So Cammy, I'll go ahead and let you do your announcements, and then I'll wrap it up.
What's so funny is I remember in two.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Cammy, and as always, for those of you guys that have questions, guys, we are right now. I hope that you see what's going on, because it might not be perfect, but we're doing the best we can to enforce our will on social media. Okay. That's where people are hanging out, social media. People have their phones in their hands everywhere they go, including the bathrooms. They're on social media. Guys, what our goal, okay, and I'm gonna be just as plain as I can be. Our goal is for every single one of us to simply learn how to navigate social media the way Cammy Smith understands it. Okay, that's his role right now, is teaching us just how to harness the power of social media. So if you're still maybe you need a little bit of encouragement to get off the sidelines and maybe do your Facebook Live. I almost screenshotted this, but I didn't. But not Cammy, but Stanley Smith, Cammy's brother. I'm not sure if Stanley's on, but like I was looking at some of the comments on Stanley's just the Facebook Live he did from his car, and I mean there were like two back to back people saying, "Hey, let me know what's going on." And here's the thing, guys. What do they lead to? Well, they lead to everything, because when you start showing, the secret, and here's where builders get off. Okay, here's where builders get off the rails. They start sharing the opportunity, and they like look at a person like a seed. Instead of like a grass seed that you sling in the yard, they look at it like, are you going to produce a blade of grass? I'm going to put you right here. I'm going to watch you. Are you going to produce a blade? And see, when you start sharing the opportunity, you start creating a rhythm of being a B quadrant sower. And when you become a B quadrant sower, those seeds grow. The cool thing though is that they usually grow from areas where you didn't sow. It's like it's amazing how that happens, and that's not the topic of tonight's call, but maybe we can dive into that thought process at some point in time, because I'm going to tell you guys, at some point in time, if you're going to grow in B quadrant, you've got to believe more in the things that you don't see than things that you do see. Sowing seed, speaking words out of our mouth, and the actions that we take, that's sowing seed. Sowing seed changes the things that we see. So when you live your life and you get fixed on the things that you can't see, but you grab hold of them by faith, man, that is where the good stuff happens in this business. And it's amazing how few builders ever grab hold of that. Most builders get discouraged because the few seeds they've sown didn't produce the way they thought they should. And then those builders stop because they go, well, it must not be working, so I'm not very good at this, so I'm just going to stop sharing the opportunity. Okay. So we need to talk about that at some point in time. So tonight, if you're taking notes, okay, I want to cover a few basic things. These things may be logical, okay, but please take notes, because this is the builder's thought process, okay. Okay, so number one, every single week, what's important to a builder? Well, number one, what's your total number of standing lead orders? How many agents do you have that's on a standing lead order? Now, here's what I want you to think about, okay? The number of agents you have on a standing lead order, that's in essence, the number of agents that you have that actually owns a business. If they're not on a standing lead order, I'm just telling you guys, I mean, their production typically is anything but consistent. Okay. So what we're striving for is consistency in production, because consistency in production leads to the number one most important thing, and that's consistency in the profitability of the writing agents. Okay. If you don't create profitable writing agents, I promise you, you will have a business that goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay. So standing lead orders, number one, and number two is closing ratio. So of your agents that are on a standing lead order, you've got to be monitoring their close ratio, because guys, Barry's investing in the leads. We get the leads at a great price. We have to manage closing ratios, okay? And closing ratios will tell you where you need to spend your S quadrant time, okay? Is that okay? Okay. Okay, so standing lead orders, close ratio. Your recruiting efforts, okay, that hopefully everybody's ramping up to be fully engaged in their recruiting efforts. Your recruiting efforts have to lead to, okay, now there's several steps in the process, but your recruiting effort has to lead to profitable unique writers. That's bottom line. If your recruiting efforts are not leading to profitable unique writers, then we need to talk, because either you're putting wrong people in, okay? Either you're starting out with the wrong people altogether, and maybe you're begging them, okay? People that you have to beg to go to every single next level, they usually don't all of a sudden just wake up one day and go, okay, I'm a business owner. I've got to start making some big boy decisions. I'm going to go after this thing. They typically don't do that. What you end up is you end up wasting your time, because you have 4 or 5 projects that you're trying to drag along with you. And ultimately what you end up with is a really firm grasp on an empty sack. Okay. All right. So recruiting must lead to profitable unique writers. Okay. The third thing, okay, so standing lead orders, closing ratios. Third thing for builders is, are you aware of your Monday call attendance? Are you aware of your Monday call attendance? Those managers that aren't aware, those leaders that aren't aware of their Monday call attendance, typically don't have a growing organization. Because if a manager can justify why they shouldn't be in control of how many people they have getting on the Monday call, then that's typically a manager that's a horrible promoter, and they don't want to take responsibility for their low call attendance. Okay. All right. So hopefully, do you have those 3 things written down? Because guys, that is one of those things that from now until December the 13th, I want to drill in us, because if we get really good at those 3 things, guys, our growth is going to skyrocket. Okay. Now, I'm not saying all of you, but some of you, you've either been given, because of your past success, you've either been given a high contract, or you've gone out on your own pen and you've earned a high contract. Okay. Now, what does a high contract mean? Well, a high contract means something totally different to a B quadrant person versus an S quadrant person. And if there's one thing that I kind of want to say tonight, I'm not in a fence mode. By the way, let me say this, and Ollie, please, Cammie, remember where I was. I don't want to lose my train of thought. Okay, so last week, y'all remember last week? Okay, I allowed myself to get a little passionate, um, and I said a word. Okay, now I don't apologize for my passion because I'm just telling you where I am right now in my thought process and in some of the counsel I'm getting from some of. See, I've kind of got a couple growing up lines that I'm talking to, and I'm just telling you what, guys, my mindset, like I'm trying to hold back. I'm trying to hold back because I want to unleash. But when I unleash like that passion, it goes in overdrive, and I want to be able to channel that the right way. And last week I didn't channel it the right way, and I said a word that I just want you guys to be able to trust that it'll never be said again on this call. And here's why it's important to me. It's not because you're not a big boy and a big girl. Okay. The reason it's important to me is I've always felt like that when we do conference calls, they should be conference calls that if you've got your son or daughter in the car with you, okay? Like I know Claudia the other night was driving home, hopefully not last Thursday night. God, Claudia, I didn't even think about that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you might have kids in the car with you, and I want you to be confident that you can have them listen because it would sow good seed inside of their brain to hear some good leadership stuff. And I don't want you to ever be concerned about what the language that you might hear. So please accept my apology. Okay. Now, comp level. Some of you guys have been awarded a comp level. Some of you guys have earned a comp level based on your own personal pen. I'm not seeing very many of you take advantage of your comp level the way I think you should. And here's what I mean by that. When you earn a high contract level, you should take that contract level and parlay that contract level into massive distribution building. Okay? Here's what I mean by that. When you're on a good comp level, when you go out and you cash flow on your own pen, you're making more on your own pen than you would have been if you hadn't been on that comp level. So why are you spending all your money? Why are you living your life like an insurance agent? I don't understand that. Okay, so here's what I would do. I would make sure that a percentage of your cash flow each week, take that and invest it into growing your business. Invest it in a personal assistant, invest it in a recruiter, invest it in cold market recruiting ads. But what I'm saying is, guys, is that some of y'all are taking your seed money, and you're throwing it away. You're not sowing your seed money, and it's killing the growth of your business. So please just consider, okay? And if you have any questions about that, guys, I'm happy to talk to you one-on-one. But there's a rhythm to a B quadrant person. And when a B quadrant person has a high contract level, they're keenly aware that there's a certain percentage of money that they make every week that they are investing into their B quadrant business. You're investing in writing agents the same way Grant Cardone invests in real estate. Okay. So I want to see us do that at a 212 level. Okay. So the topic of tonight is this. After you get started, okay, and typically, I don't know, for some of you guys, it's 2 to 3 weeks. Some of y'all, it's 2 to 3 months. But when you get started, I mean, like, how long do you need your growing up line? I mean, like, Like you learn how to make a phone call, you learn how to do a sit, you learn how to underwrite. You got the in-home concierge, you've got the underwriting cheat sheets with Equus. Like at some point in time, you get to rolling on the S quadrant side, and you don't need to call your upline all the time. Okay. So the value that your upline has is this. If you're a distribution builder, you have to understand how to leverage your growing upline story. You have to leverage their success story, and your growth is not how well you explain the program. Because here's the thing, most of y'all, you don't have the credibility. You're trying to explain it to people and answer their objections when I am begging you guys to realize the value of your growing upline. You need to learn how to promote your growing upline the way Don King promoted Mike Tyson. I talked last week about how Don King promoted Mike Tyson. And I did that from a promotion of the system standpoint. But guys, the same thing is with your growing upline. If you will go and talk to people about your upline success story and let them know that you can get them on the phone with your growing upline, or better yet, you can put them on a car, or you can put them on an aeroplane, and you can fly. Guys, let me tell you how I built my Equus business, okay? Mike Hall, Ollie Collins, Claudia Matthew, all of you guys, what did I do? I got you to Barry Clarkson. Do y'all remember that? I mean, if I had all of you unmute and tell your story, I guarantee you. So Mike Hall sitting on my back deck, and I talked to Mike Hall. Of course, I mean, Mike knew of Barry. Like I had talked about Barry and all that. But the thing about it is that getting my people around my growing upline. Mike went and spent a week with Rob Jones. That's a relationship that has only grown and grown and grown. We used to take little pods of people to Barry's farmhouse. You remember that? Mike Hall remembers that because we used to get Mike Hall's team. You remember Mike? I think Mike Hall, one time, I think we had 14, 15 people sitting in Barry's living room, sitting on the floor. And Barry's just up there talking about Equus, just like Barry's doing. But why did it matter so much? Because of how much edification we put on Barry. We talked about Barry's success story. Listen, I promise you, I know Barry's story better than he knows it. I know about that ledger book. I can tell you about Tiffany. Like, I can tell you Barry's story better than he can. I know how he got used and abused at that company that he moved his family for down in Punta Vedra Beach, Florida. Like, I know, and I got great at telling Barry's story, and I got so good at it that people wanted to meet Barry. Did people want to see Equus? Yes. But I created an appetite for people to want to meet Barry more than they wanted to see Equus. You see, once they met Barry and once Barry talked to them about Equus, they really couldn't tell you anything Barry said about Equus. They just had a feeling, if they're a right person, they had a feeling that this is what I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of something with really good people. Guys, I hope this is making sense. I see so many of you out there, you're trying to grow all by yourself, and it's not working. And every single one of y'all, you have a growing upline that you can build towards. And if you will let go of your ego long enough to learn how to tell your upline story better than they can tell it, you'll get people that will want to drive a half a day to go meet your upline. You'll get people to want to get on an airplane and go meet your growing upline for an hour and a half coffee on a Saturday morning. You got to set yourself on fire. You know, there was a saying when I first got involved in the business a long time ago. I used to hear this all the time and I loved it. It said, set yourself on fire and people will come out of the woodworks to watch you burn. Set yourself on fire and people will come watch you burn. So growth looks an awful lot like this. Let me tell you about my growing up line. Let me tell you about their success. Let me tell you, I can get you around this person. Let me tell you, I can get you on the phone with this person. And getting good at creating an appetite, putting a group of 3 or 4 people in the car with you. If Kevin Hopkins is on, Kevin, you remember. Kevin, and I don't know if Kevin's on, but Kevin remembers. It was me. It was Kevin's upline and Kevin. We got in the car and we drove to Lynchburg, Virginia, baby. That was my job. My job was I can point my car heading to Lynchburg, Virginia, and we're going to go get around Barry Clarkson. Now, could I have done as good a job explaining Equus than, let me just tell you something. Don't take this the wrong way, but I probably could have even explained it better, okay? And see, in some of y'all, that's your problem. You can explain the business better than I can. You can explain it better than Ollie can. You can explain it better than Mike Hall can. But you're not creating an appetite for anybody to want to join you. If you will build upline, your upline can then take that credibility that you've given them and your upline can put it right back on you. And all of a sudden, this triangulation, you, your upline, your prospect, you, your upline, your prospect, and that triangulation starts taking effect. And all of a sudden, you start growing. Because in the very beginning, the emotional attachment your new people have is not necessarily to you. The emotional attachments is with this guy that they hardly know, but they want to please. I hired more people that wanted to get to know Barry better. I hired people that all of a sudden wanted to perform for Barry. Do y'all understand? Is this making any sense at all, Kylie? I hope it is. That's what I did. So my promo of tonight's call was, what did I do to create a smoking hot agency? I got as many people around Barry Clarkson as I could. Personally, and I got as many people to plug in to his conference calls. When we first got started, Barry would do a leaders call on Friday afternoon. It was a distribution builders call. And I think the reason Equus exploded is because we were able to plug into that distribution building call every single Friday. And guys, my intent, and I'll let you go with this, my intent is to create that same type of builder's mentality on this Thursday night call, because we need it. Right now, you've got all of Equus focused 100% on how people's flipping a freaking burger. Y'all understand that? When people talk about face-to-face sales or virtual sales, all people are talking about is how they're flipping a burger. Okay, I'm not going to go into that. See, I'm wanting to, wow. The message ought not to be, I had 10 appointments today and I got to see my babies. I had 10 appointments today. Hey, do you want a cookie? I'll give you a cookie. You showed up for work. You combed your hair. You brushed your teeth. Good. Go make the self-driven income. But how many times did you share the opportunity? That's going to let me know how much you're going to see your baby in the next 2 to 3 years. Does your baby want to come see you and go, wait a minute, I'm on a virtual. Wait a minute, honey, I'm on a virtual. Let me finish up my virtual, and then you got your daddy back. Guys, we got a business. Okay. I just got a text. I can't. Okay. Hey, guys, I love you. I love virtual. I love face to face. I love you monitoring standing lead orders. I love you monitoring your closing ratios. And I love you monitoring your Monday call attendance. Okay. And I will not get overly passionate, and I'll not say anything that would offend anybody. Okay. Love y'all. Let's go grow. It is time. Cammie, stop laughing. All right. See you guys. Bye.